Look at all you wonderful people. Thank you for coming out on such a special night when we have the Grammys. I'm competing with the Grammys, is what I was telling my kids. And they said, "Why are you going on?" I said, "I don't know, because I wouldn't watch the Grammys." And I'm sure my friends here, maybe they aren't into the Grammys either. Are you? Will you be watching the Grammys, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know half of the artists anyway, so not doing it. But Steve is referencing the newsletter here. So this morning, took an emergency call at Nordstrom Rack. As I said, it wasn't a fashion emergency, it was a work emergency. So, yeah, no Grammys are for losers. My daughter likes Lady Gaga, so she's going to be watching. But the delivery robots, I will have to look that up. But how are they going to get in? Because they lock. Can they get in it? I don't know, man. That's a good one, but kind of fun. You know, if you don't get the newsletter, I talked about Serve Robotics. I probably should show you guys. By the way, when we do the news, it's going to be crazy. There are so many dividend announces. It's pretty epic. So we'll start that soon just so we can get through it. But while I'm pulling up my newsletter here, again, thank all of you for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And again, nothing you hear is going to be financial advice. There was some hubbub between some of the Blossom creators on the private messaging system, I don't know what to call it, about somebody's channel who it was flagged by the YouTube bot, by the algorithm. And Joseph Hogue was on it, and we were all talking a little bit, and he said, yeah, sometimes it's the language that you can put in the title or thumbnail or the video, and it will flag some of us, and no bueno. So definitely you guys saw I started throwing that. I've tried to make it as short as possible, 7-second disclaimer or so. But let me bring up my newsletter here so I can get it going for you guys to show you the little robot. It's a cute little robot. His name was Scott the robot. He was at Wild Fork picking up food. Here we go. I got it up. Let me show all you guys. So what are you doing for the Super Bowl? Any plans? I'm going to do the live stream early because I'm not going to compete with the Super Bowl. Why? Well, my family gets into it. My oldest daughter, thankfully, because of flag football this year, took a liking to it. So we've been getting to watch football. It's been something like I've been waiting for a long time. My other one likes the commercials and the halftime show. But either way, we have some food, and it's a little bit of a national holiday here. It really should be on a Saturday. God dang it. But back to what I promised, to share and show you. That's the rule on YouTube. Show, don't tell. Just like Rush saying, yeah. I think of some of you are Rush fans out there. But yeah, I met Scott. Here he comes. All of a sudden, I'm seeing this little dude rolling around across the street. I'm like, what? It's that. It is Scott. I walked up to Scott and took a picture. Well, that's what we were talking about, Scott the robot. And yeah, in the newsletter, there's a little video that you can see how it works. But Pat, you may be referencing the 10 important rules for dividend investors. I shared a link to that. I really enjoyed listening to David Bach on the Diary of a CEO podcast. Boy, I say that quick, don't I? Hope you're not eating. Diary of a CEO podcast with Stephen Bartlett. And yeah, it's funny. You get Jail Collins, Simple Path to Wealth, saying like, rent as long as you can. Don't buy a house. David Bach has the complete opposite position and says, no, people need to buy a house because most people don't save. And when you have to pay the mortgage, it is forced savings, and it's a way to build some generational wealth that you can pass down to others. But what I did, here we go. I received $2.80 in dividends from DIVO, first monthly one around. But this was on the thumbnail. I did sell my 10 shares of Soxel, which if you guys have been seeing Bitcoin crashing, that could pull down the whole tech, or is it tech pulling Bitcoin down? Don't know. Nobody knows the future. It's unknown and unknowable. But yeah, it was at 62. This could be in the 50s come tomorrow morning. So it looks like I got out at a great time. And what did I do with that? Of course, I bought my one share of Berkshire Hathaway, the B share. Almost used the pros, almost got full proceeds because if you saw the video, I so badly wanted to say, and use that crutch word. But if you'll notice, I can hear when it's about to hit and leave my lips. Threw me off. But we're going to Omaha and bought that share of Berkshire because you need one. You need to be a shareholder to get into the building. So that's what we did. And I shared it in the video. So there you go. Then I've also bought 5 more IDVOs and 6 more Aries Capital because it dropped below the last reported net asset value of Aries, which was $20.01. So that's enough about that. But that's a little bit of what I did this week. And yeah, after taxes, I did not have enough of $695, right? $69.50 times 10 shares of Soxel, 3 triple leveraged ETF. If you didn't see the video, it follows the semiconductor chip index. What's a semi-chip conductor, Uncle Russ? And then it moves 3 times as fast in either direction. Michael wanted to get to this. I'm not planning on having a guest. Maybe I could. I'll throw it out there to a few people, see who might want to come on. And again, Pat, I'm glad that you enjoyed the newsletter, man. I enjoy putting it together. Even if I get people unsubscribing every time I put it out, don't care. Lisa, Queen of Stream, what's up? I saw you went live today. I was running around, did not have time to check you out. I always love hearing what you guys are buying. And look at this, 45 of you when the Grammys are on. We're fighting with Lady Gaga, Bad Bunny, Bruno Mars. I'm struggling here. I'm struggling. Like I told my kids, hey, is Blitzkid up for an award? And they're like, who? They know who, but yes. Apparently, horror punk is not a category at the Grammys. Who knew? But I don't care. What's up, Craig? Maybe Craig will come live with me for the 200th. I don't know. Michael, I did not ask Scott the robot. I should have, but I may have just been talking to myself. All right, I'm almost caught up to you guys. Dude, that's awesome, Tresh. The Snowbot. Tesla robot from Temu. Yeah, so actually Surf Robotics was spun out of Uber in 2021. It had a different name called Postmates, I think. Changed it. And yeah, I was reading the prospectus a little bit. I was reading the investor presentation, not the prospectus. And it's very interesting because, yes, they don't pay a dividend. And this is a company that is like light years away from ever paying a dividend, if at all. But it just seemed pretty interesting that they are trying to work on drone delivery next and then automated electric vehicles, driverless to do that. Yeah, what do you guys think about Bitcoin? I know we got a new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, right? And I don't think it's going to affect how I invest. Unless the Fed chair appointment is going to affect how you would use or interact with a company or a stock, I don't really think there's much concern. And I know Warren Buffett back in one of the annual meetings said if Alan Greenspan, former Fed chair, told him his policy for the next few years, he wouldn't care. He said it wouldn't affect how I invest at all. But ooh, good one, Ron. Whoa, Ron, what's up, man? It's been a minute. Ron, everybody, is a fantastic person. He's been in the community for a long time, shared a lot of his wisdom, knowledge, and I was going to say wealth, but I think a wealth of knowledge is what I wanted to say. He has not shared any wealth with myself, and nor do I want him to. But I tried to do an interview with him, but Ron is very private, and I respect it. So, but some people dream about going to Disney. Others dream about going to Omaha. That's me. It's gonna be my first time. I've actually never been to the state of Nebraska, so it's kinda cool. I should have brought it down. We brought a pushpin map to track where we've been, and Nebraska is bare. It has nothing. I've never set foot in that state. Ah, Lisa, that's funny. I hear it upstairs. My kids are, watching the Grammys, so yeah, Craig, you know what, man? We'll do it. Craig is always available. I love it. And yeah, buddy, I'll text you later. Yeah, Charlie called Bitcoin, or was it Warren? One of them called it rat poison. Charlie thought the government should ban it outright. And you know what? Uh, Eddie, Ryan wanted to go to Omaha, but he says that I think his family's taking a trip or going right about to take a trip. And, it's like, dude, yeah, it'll always be there. So I really wish I would have went last year. I don't know why I didn't. And it's a funny thing because last year I ended up working that day in the morning. I remembered it was sunny out. I worked at a post office in Naperville, Illinois, and I was listening to it while it was going on live on YouTube. And of course, when I come home, my wife was like, "Why didn't you go? Why are you here?" And I said, "I don't know. I don't know why I haven't gone." So then I said, "I'm going to go next year." And literally, maybe like 10 minutes later is when Warren made the announcement that he was stepping down. I'm like, "You see, son of a gun, you jinxed it." Vasco. And we're going to do the news here. There is so much. I'm going to have to go so quick through all of them. So we'll give it a few more minutes and I'll do the news for you guys from Simply Safe Dividends. So Vasco, you're thinking about adding a small position in Aries Capital to boost your modest yield of dividend growth portfolio. Interesting price, focus still being growth. So the thing to know about Aries, yes, they're a BDC, business development company, but they have had a frozen dividend for a little bit now. So that dividend's not going to grow. And the only way you're going to be able to grow that is Stephen Bavaria style. That sounds good. That sounds like it should be Stephen Bavarian style sauerkraut. You got to get some. But Stephen Bavaria style is when a company like Aries pays an 8, 9, 10% dividend, then you have to reinvest the dividends right back into it. And that's how you will grow your income. So even though their dividend has been frozen for a while, I think it's 48 cents per share per quarter, that you grow it by reinvesting those high dividends. You get more shares. And when the stock price falls, you can grow it even more, right? You get more bang for your buck. So yeah, just know why you own it. And remember, the dividends are not qualified because of the corporate structure. It's a pass-through entity. So Aries Capital is passing through almost all of their profits through to you. So they don't pay taxes at the corporate level. From what I understand, you are going to pay those higher taxes at your ordinary income tax rate, unless it's in a Roth IRA or a tax deferred, is what I'm trying to say. I'm finishing my LaCroix. How about that? There you go. LaCroix. Key lime LaCroix. I do like Waterloo. I like bubbly. I think those are the main 3 sparkling waters that we drink. And Billy Black. Hope you don't mind me calling you that. People were nice and outgoing. I've heard that. They come right into your hotel room. They'll tuck you in. They're very nice and outgoing people. They give you a back massage. I hear they'll do it just free of charge while you're sleeping. 3:15 in the morning. They just let themselves in. They do not. I did not hear that. I don't want to disparage the people, the fine, fine people of Omaha and, in particular, Nebraska. 21 stocks in FCHD have already increased dividend in time for a Q1 payout. We'll talk about it, Craig. Yeah, for 200, I'll have you on. He can host the show. I love it. I love talking to you guys and girls and all of you, all y'all. I just say all y'all. That's more encompassing, right? But hey, you do it. You set up a microphone. Go ahead and talk to yourself for an hour straight. See if you can do it. You've been buying Grinding roots, I have been buying BTCI and BITO while they are down. I did see something about BTCI from Nicholas Brado. He's a writer on Seeking Alpha, and he shared that BTCI has not fallen as much as Bitcoin. Why that is, I don't know. But oh, you're in Portugal. The non-qualified doesn't change anything. You need to confirm. Yeah, again, financial advisor, or you can consult, right? In, ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or all three, Grok, do all four, do Meta AI, hit the quinfecta. I don't know how to say that, like trifecta, quadfecta, and quinfecta. We'll just make up words and go with it. But yeah, just make sure you understand what you're buying and why you're buying them. Don't chase the yield. And for me, I'm buying those for the income. It's a smallish portion of the overall investment portfolio, but we do own Aries Capital and Main Street Capital, of which Aries Capital I have been buying. So let's get to the news after I read these two. Why would anyone not buy more than one Burke B? John, I'm going to. It's just the first share. And I know Kevin, right? Kevin Burgess. What happened to Kevin? I got to text him. But I know he would say that, I think it was him, wouldn't buy a stock unless he could buy 10% position or something like that, or 10%. I don't remember what it was. But yeah, I'll be adding more. And I probably may consolidate other things into it eventually, like Nike's on the chopping block, and we'll see. We'll see. But again, nobody knows all right, we're going to do news here. So buckle up, sit tight, because I'm inviting people onto the show that aren't there. Here we go. So let's do the latest from Simply Safe Dividends. Again, there's going to be a lot here, so we'll go kind of quick. Let me take a sip of my tea. Look at this first one about H2O. Oh, that's good. Tea before beer, and you're in the clear. That's what they say, right? That's what I say. And we'll put that to the test again for the 29th week in a row. H2O, water utility, grew their dividend. So this is how I'm going to do this, because there's so many, and I don't want to spend the rest of the show doing this. So if you see something, you want to read this blurb a little more, you can see Simply Safe gives their valuation down at the bottom. Pause the video, whatever you have to do. But with that being said, so here we go. H2O raised their dividend 4.8%, 58th consecutive annual dividend increase. Dividend downgrade for BlackRock's TCP Capitals. This would be Jeremy, ticker TCPC, Jeremy from Dividend Stockpile. Oh, I don't want to spill the beans. I was texting him last week, and he's got a good guest coming on. I'll be looking forward to that one. I'm not going to ruin the surprise. So, Jeremy, your secret's safe with me. But that was down 19.31% yield. Now, this would be a Stephen Bavaria stock. Even if it gets cut, you still buy those higher than usual dividends, reinvest. And anyway, we don't want to get stuck on that. But Kimberly-Clark raised that dividend 1.6%. And look at that. Kimberly-Clark is under $100 a share, squeaked in $99.99. But that yield is just towering above the 5-year average. So when I get back to the chat, let me know if you're still buying Kimberly-Clark. Apparently they are not. The market is not liking that Ken view. Thermo Fisher got a dividend upgrade. So their dividend looks even more secure as the leverage stays disciplined. 0.30% yield. How about that? There you go. GM raised the dividend 20%, but it is still over 50% below the pre-pandemic level. So GM still does not have that dividend back to where it was when they cut. Abbott, anyone buying Abbott, it has experienced this worst sell-off in over 2 decades, which is interesting because AbbVie is going the complete opposite direction, and their shares fell 15%, more than 15%, which followed their fourth quarter earnings report last week, which was probably their worst single day decline. But Yeah, in 2 decades. Let us know if you're buying Abbott. Air Products, ticker APD, 1.1% dividend raise. There's a lot here. Jesus. Con Ed, 4.4% dividend raise, 52nd consecutive annual increase. Dude, all these utility companies have just gone up, 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 right? Because of the energy demand. With everybody Googling and everybody's using AI for, they're trying to make pictures with, like I did. My wife's a fan of Elvira, so it's become a thing. I'll say like, hey, we were looking at new couches, and we wanted to send one to my daughter, so I took a picture, and I was like, remember that time I was like, Elvira was sitting on the couch with you? She's like, don't do it. But anyway, Eversource, ticker ES, 4.7% dividend raise. There's a lot here. A little faster. Williams, ticker WMB, 5% dividend raise. Energy Transfer, token raise, but they have a higher than normal dividend. Holy cow. So the thing about ET, it's at 1845. I bought this. I started a position, and I think I rolled it into EPD. I merged the two, but I was buying it in the $6 to $7 range, and here we are at freaking almost 20. Wow. Very nice. I can't even imagine what that yield on cost would have been. Probably 12, 13%. All right. Elevance, dividend downgrade. But oh yeah, that was news this week too. The Medicare Advantage funding concerns that really whacked United Health, CVS. That feels like 2 weeks ago to me. I can't believe that was this week. They reaffirmed UPS's dividend safety score of borderline safe. And let me know if you're buying any of these that we've talked about. California Water, California, 12%. Another 58th consecutive annual. That's interesting. H2O was a 58th year of increase. Look at that. 2 water utilities with a 58th annual consecutive increase. Humana. So all of these got downgrades, got a dividend downgrade from 99, very safe, to 80. And they look like they could be undervalued. Moving along. Equity Lifestyle Properties, ticker ELS. Somebody in the chat was buying them. They own, if you want to be an RV resort landlord, there you go, in campgrounds. Raise their dividend 5.3%, but they still look way undervalued. Somebody was talking about them. Jeez, we got a ways though. Brookfield Infrastructure, 5.8% dividend raise. They're going to keep coming. I got to go faster here. Chucky Schwab, 19% dividend hike. They have really come back. Anybody else remember when they were in the 50s? I do. Right? High 50s. Did they hit the 40s even? Or did I imagine that? They were down there. And I used Charles Schwab too. Probably should have bought them. CNI, dividend raise 3%. They've gotten beaten down. Canadian Rail. Chevron, 4% dividend raise. That's their 39th consecutive. They got a boost, right, from the whole Venezuela thing. Church and Dwight, 4% dividend raise. I told you, we're getting there. We're working their way, everybody. Verizon raised that dividend 2.5%, and their stocks jumped a little bit. What do they got? 6.4% yield. Whew. Another Brookfield jam. Brookfield Renewable, 5% dividend raise. American Express, a couple more, 16%. And they plan to up it by 16%. And this has been a solid company, right? We can talk about them if you want. American Express, they are the bank and the payment processor, right? So they have almost their own network, I believe is how that goes. And then Cincinnati Financial, ticker CINF, 8% dividend raise. That's their 66th consecutive year of higher payouts, and never been to Cincinnati. We may go in the fall. And I think that's it. That is it, everybody. My God, that was a slew of news. Holy smokes. So we may go to Cincinnati. I want to take my kids to their first NFL game, and I'd like to also go to a city we haven't been to before. But as I do the logistics, I'm thinking might be cheaper to just bite the bullet and buy Bears tickets and go to go to Soldiers Field, you know? But we'll see. Cincinnati, I did a Gemini search for the cheapest friendly NFL cities to see a game, and it was, I believe, Indianapolis in no particular order. The top 5: Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Phoenix, Cincinnati, and I forget the other one. There was a fifth one, but grinding. I'm just not a fan of ADRs, and I realize as I say that, IDVO invest in ADRs, but at least they're dealing with it. I'm not. But yeah, it's just I don't know why. It's because I feel like I'm buying a receipt of a company with an American depository receipt. I know that's silly. Boaz, you bought more Netflix. Our friend Travis, the Dividend Collective, our friend Travis, who's formerly known as the Dividend Collective, but is now known as the Dividend Collection Agency, has been buying Netflix with you. What up, Larry? Glad to see ya. SCHW with a great dividend increase. Yeah, Schwab had a very big one. That was very nice. You are absolutely correct. The ADR does not change the fundamentals. And, maybe I have been thinking about looking for a company that is very moody, has a very big growth trajectory still ahead of it. And ASML is one of them, right? Their lithography machines, I think it's called. Yeah. They are, it would be very hard to compete with ASML. Another is obviously Costco and TJX. I love TJX's business model that when companies like Target or Walmart or whoever it might be, Nike, if they have too much inventory and they need to make room for the new and hottest thing or the seasonal thing, they got to clear out. They're not just going to throw that stuff in the garbage. So they sell it to TJX, a company like that. So they buy it for pennies on the dollar. You can get it cheaper. You can get the, whatever, last year's hottest running shoe. I don't know, whatever, however it works. But then also, it's the treasure hunt aspect at TJX. So it kind of cuts both ways because they're the beneficiary of companies having to cut inventory and just clear it out. And TJX is like, yes, please. And then more people want to get name brands at discount prices. So, and they never know what they're going to find. So TJX has that treasure hunt atmosphere that people just come into, and it's so cool. So what a great business model. But how we got there from ASML and ADRs. I was telling you that another one I was looking at was Ferrari, was ticker RACE. I think our friend, European dividend growth investor, says Ferrari. I can't say it how he does. He's very guttural in the back of the throat. But yeah, he's looking at Ferrari as well as myself, ticker RACE, which is a dividend stock. There you go. You started a position in Abbott. It's hard to ignore when such a solid company gets hit so hard. Vasco's thinking about switching his Pepsi for Kimberly-Clark. That's interesting. Tuesday. And we'll see what the GLP-1s do, if anything. There is some thought that the GLP-1s could affect the salty snacks more than it does the sugar water. And PepsiCo, more of their revenue is from the snacks. Interesting. Couple of you added to UNH. Yeah, they all got whacked. Every health insurer got hit as hard as crypto's getting hit right now. Yeah. Turbo's sharing about, yes. And that's the thing to remember about master limited partnerships is you get the K1. So you do have to, hey, my wife deals with it. She does our taxes. So between my wife and TurboTax, they knock it out. Interesting. There we go. I couldn't get you on there. Is it MLP MLPA. Oh, what did happen there? I think we're okay. Man, my on. Okay, weird. I got my phone going on there. There we go. I think MLPX, right? You might be talking about the Global X MLP and Energy Infrastructure ETF. We'll see if you mentioned that, but is it MLPA or MLPX? Because MLPX, not to be confused with MPLX, but which okay, talk about weird. M, which is Marathon Petroleum's MLP, that's MPLX, is inside of MLPX. And MLPX, you do not get a K1, but it is filled with all your MLPs like Williams Company and Energy Transfer, Energy Products, I think Enbridge. It's got, we can look at it maybe later if you want. Hey, what's up? There's my guy, Adam. Adam, get yourself some Portillos out there. You can't, I guess, right? What's the equivalent of what do you, if you get a hankering for Portillos and you want to get, you know, if you're a fella of a certain disposition like you are, Adam, and you're out there in Las Vegas where all those people are gambling and you got all the prostitution and all that stuff out there, and he's like, hey, it's been a minute since I've had some Portillos. I'd love a nice big Polish, you know, lots of grilled onions. Where do you go out there in Vegas if you want to get that authentic Chicago flavor, you know, with a side of Ditka? Trevon wishes he bought Cincinnati Financial under a couple of under 100 a couple of years ago. Hey, we all have our wishes, right? Eddie, yes, Bill's new stadium. We'd like to. We talked about it. Probably going to be expensive. Daddy's going to need some serious dividend raises for that. Now, we could afford it. I just would have trouble paying for it. Jarash, you think Abbott's enticing, but the 1% dividend increases are depressing? Yeah, and I haven't looked. And again, there's more Abbott buying from TuxCat. Why? Explain to us in a nutshell, if anyone knows, what they got whacked so hard for. And you know what the funny thing is? That reminds me, as we're in the midst of earnings season, one thing that a rule of thumb is to always wait until the conclusion of the earnings call when you can hear more of what they are guiding for or what they have to say. Oftentimes, as soon as the earnings release hits, that's why you'll see stocks go way up or way down, because people just look at that headline. You know, hey, they beat revenue and they beat the what am I looking for? Earnings estimates and revenue. They beat earnings estimates and revenue, and people go nuts or they missed, and everybody's selling or buying. But then the CEO comes on and it's self-congratulatory and fluff, right, about how great we are. But then a lot of times the dirt is in the details with the CFO shares, and it's the CFO and then the analyst comments after the CFO speaks where you will get a real good flavor. And that's when people are like, oh, it's not as bad as we thought, or it's not as good. So you could get burned. And then it's just better to wait until after the conference call ends to make a decision. That's interesting, Trevon. Microsoft got hit hard, but Meta, which is spending what, 60% more? What was that number? 120 billion that they're spending on. It's like, well, that's insane. I hope it pays off, and that's the gamble. So there's Adam, who's been gravitating towards defensive like Campbell's, ConAgra, Clorox, Procter and Gamble. That's interesting. I wonder, Adam, what about Kraft? They've been that rhymes with another word that starts with cra, but they haven't been too good. But they're breaking up with Heinz, I think. Ty Guy has ASML's been one of his best investments the past year. Oh, dude, you've more than doubled it. They were down a bit, weren't they? What was their 52-week range for ASML? And yeah, I don't know. Does anybody else? Is that just me? That is a little off put by the ADRs, and I don't know why. Right? It's silly. it's you guys had a great point. It really changes nothing about the business. But I don't know. I see the ADR fees and I know that we're paying a bank for the privilege of buying a receipt that's reflected for, I believe, what they hold. Maybe I said that wrong, but anyway, ASML has been, wow. Oh, dude, it has been on fire. I know you guys can't see this, but oh yeah, ASML was all the way down. This shows me a 52-week price range of $595, and we're at 1455. Oof, yeah, that probably was something I missed too. Oh, you okay? Nice to see you guys are adding the race as well to Ferrari. Yeah, a lot of good. I kind of looked at them a little bit, and again, this is where some of you are going to call me nuts. That I thought, this is looking pretty solid. I'm learning about the business a little more in dribs and drabs, but then I see the ADR, and I don't know why it's such a freaking mental block for me with the ADRs, and it shouldn't be. You're right, Ty Guy. PepsiCo does own Frito-Lay. Thanks for sharing that, Pat. You can get your K1s very easily online. Don't they send them to you, if I remember right? Steve was in El Salvador. What is... Oh, Pepsi. I was like, dude, what's peyote? I don't know. Never heard of it, man. Okay, so Pepsi I think you meant Pepsi, right? Oh, I was like, is the P next to the O? It is. Look at that, everybody. The P is right next to the O. Mr. Donut, Pollo Campero, kept seeing Pepsi trucks as well as delivering. You know what I drove by this week again? Jollibee. Never heard of it, but so when we got home, we looked up Jollibee, and it's like Filipino fast food. It's kind of like the Filipino version of McDonald's. And I watched a YouTube video on somebody's like, yeah, you should. They have great stuff like tuna pie and there's spaghetti hot dogs. I was like, nope, tuna pie and spaghetti hot dogs. So, no Portillo's there. Turbo, yeah, it's a Chicago thing that. So I've met the owner, Dick Portillo. I've worked at his house. Very nice guy. He sold for a couple Billy, I think, or a Billy. I don't know what he sold for, to a group that was private. Then that private group took Portillo's public, and they're trying to expand across. Fun fact, I'll be in Florida for the IndyCar race at the end of this month, and I've never had Portillo's outside of the Chicagoland area, which my daughter asked me about. Why do we call it Chicagoland? And when we go to, she's like Tampa, where my wife's now deceased grandparents' condo is that we still use. Why don't they call it Tampa Land or Cleveland Land? I'm like, I don't know. We've just always called it Chicagoland here. So, oh, did Pepsi's payout ratio improved? Yeah, Tux, last I looked, and I'll look here quick for you, but I do not believe it did. And that was one of my big reasons for deciding. And currently, the payout ratio still shows me that it is 112% from the last 12 months, and it was 111% in 2022. So that's the annual. It has not. Oh, so it is MLPA. Okay. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. So wait, why have I not heard of that? I've heard of AMLP or MPLA. No, that ain't it. Praxis. MLPA. There we go. You can read. You can do it. Put the letters in the right organization. Wait, the Global X MLP ETF. What the hell? Oh, so it's just the MLPs, I'm guessing. Oh. Here, let's look at something real quick, everybody. And I apologize, I'm getting caught behind on here, but this could be very interesting. So we're going to look together at Berkshire Hathaway on Simply Safe, MLPA. So I invest in I invest in MLPX. So MLPA is ranked 6 out of 10 in the subclass. There you go. MLP investing in midstream MLPs by the K1. I want to see the top holdings here. So here you go. The top holdings in MLPA are Energy Transfer, EPD, MPLX, Western Midstream, Hess, Sunoco, Cheniere, Genesis, USA Compression, 23 holdings. But now if we go to MLP, just change it up here, X. So here's the Global X. Look at that. It's ranked number 1 out of 10. This is just from the Seeking Alpha Quant. Sorry. I hate this setting. I wish it. Oh yeah, actually that worked out better because now I can't change it back. Gosh bless it. Look at this. He's messing it all up. I'm just going to take myself off. It's just be easier. You don't have to look at my face for a minute here. But so this is MLPX, what I invest in, and I want to get to the top 10 as soon as I can find the freaking tab I want to click on. There we go. So that was what versus AMLP, right? It gets confusing. You got MLPA, MLPX, AMLP, MPLA. But the top holdings in this one are TC Energy, Williams, Enbridge, Kinder Morgan, Oneoak. Here it is again. You guys know it popped up again. Cheniere, Targa, DT, MPLX, EPD. So this one has 30 holdings where the other one had 23, but the dividend yield is 4.5%, and MLPA's dividend yield was, what did we say? It is, this is 7.35 trailing 12 months, but I thought it was 8. No, this shows 7.35, so interesting. I was not aware of that, and I need to put myself back up there. There we go. Jeez Louise, this guy. So interesting. So they're both from Global X. One is just the midstreams, and the other one that I invest in also includes the midstreams and the energy infrastructure. A lot of those companies are toll roads. Companies like Enbridge and EPD. Well, I think EPD actually processes the oil, right? I could be wrong on that. Or is it Energy Transfer that? No, Energy Transfer is like a toll road, pure toll road, I think. So just looking at my screen there where it's black. Wonderful. How are the Grammys going, everybody? Going into Microsoft. Dude, they're probably going to be fine, but the OpenAI being so important for them. Yeah, I think isn't it 45-ish% of their RPOs, their remaining what is the P remaining performance obligation? I think it's like 45%. So I think that's what the market's worried about, man. I don't know how that's going to turn out. David, thanks for chiming in. I've never heard of Chicago's Best in Las Vegas. There you go. Abbott got whacked. Now we're all talking. Got whacked due to low sales in its nutrition sector. Like Abbott due to non-exposure to pharma. Yeah, because they have infant formula, things like that, right? Where AbbVie is just pure pharmaceuticals. But earnings are totally true. BMI, the drop doesn't make sense. Business. And dude, Vasco, it just helps to wait until the earnings call is over. And some of them, it's the next day. I don't know why they do that. Some companies will release after market close and then have their earnings call the next morning. So it's just, if it's a long-term hold, you probably want to wait. Look at this. We got a WKRP in Cincinnati reference. Nicely done, Steve. Kraft Heinz is doing bad about the split up. That's one that Warren, I'm sure he would like to have back, but it's gone nowhere, dude. Nowhere. Dresh, thanks for sharing that. Where He understands the OpenAI concerns, but Microsoft is supply constrained. He does think that if OpenAI falls apart, there would still be demand for Azure. And again, this is sometimes the best thing that you want to hope for in these companies where you feel like you've missed it. And it's funny how many times people really didn't miss it. And again, I know I'm a broken record saying that the future is unknown and unknowable. And a lot of times people share opinions and you can get scared out of investing in something. So, because the truth is, you never know what a business is going to introduce or discover or invent or merge or acquire or divest or what have you, any number of things, because these companies are always trying to make more money. And that's the beautiful thing, which is where Gautam Bade, who wrote The Joys of Compounding, talks about that the downside of a stock is zero, 100% from where you bought it. But the upside is unlimited. There is no limit to the upside. So that means if you buy some stinkers, that the ones that do very, very well will more than make up for those stinkers. So debt is very real, Adam. You're right, dude. Right, too. Yeah. I wonder if there's also private label competition too, because I know Walmart, right? And Target, they have their own brands. Amazon has their own brands. Oh, there he is. We were just talking about you, Kevin. The turkey drop, right? Didn't he say that he thought they could fly? By God is my witness, I thought they could fly. Well, if you ask Warren Buffett, he'll say his biggest mistake was Dexter Shoe, because not only did he buy a company that was getting their clocks cleaned by cheap foreign shoes, but he used Berkshire stock to make that deal happen. So he always says, yeah, it cost all of you several $billion. So, but he takes full blame for Dexter Shoe as one of his biggest mistakes. But actually, Berkshire Hathaway might be his biggest mistake, because the textile industry was terrible to get into, and Charlie was trying to tell him that, and then he ended up buying more, and it took him a while to realize it. But as he said, better late than never. And Charlie used to rib rib him and say, like, Warren's trick is he keeps learning. That's how he does it. Yeah, I'm sure. I do remember some. Yeah, exactly. I don't remember the avatar name or the screen name, but I do remember looking at it and thinking, again, well, it's an ADR, first of all, and then I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about. I never did my. You know what? You know what's a problem? Sometimes I'll look at an ASML and say, I don't know anything about fabbing chips, but I can learn. I can learn and educate and try to expand my circle of competence. Yes, I may not know the jargon or the exactly how the circuitry works, but if I think it can be as simple as knowing, okay, all these things need these chips. There's really one company that's making the chips. They can't keep up with demand. So probably a good problem to have. But let's see what else you guys got saying here. I'm getting caught up. Are you sure? Race is not an ADR. I don't want to put out false information. I'm Googling it right now. And it says Race is not an American depository receipt. Trades directly on the New York Stock Exchange. Thank you for sharing that and clearing that up. Journeyman, who I haven't talked to you in a minute, dude. What's up? I appreciate that. I'm gonna look that my interest in Race just went up a little bit more because they have been getting crushed. And I think I'm gonna spend some time with Ferrari this week. Phil Malek, how is it going with that Portillo's? Because I didn't get to finish telling you guys that when I'm in Tampa, I'm going to do boots on the ground research to experience Portillo's over there and down there in Florida and see how it tastes. I don't know if it tastes any different, how the experience is. And as you guys know, I own 200 shares of Portillo's at $6 a share, and it's my fun investment, just to hold for a long time unless something goes wrong. But anyway, that's what I'm gonna do. I want to try Portillo's down in Florida, down in Florida. I'm going to Florida. Bum, 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 dun. Now you'll never hear it when you hear that White Stripes song, Seven Nation Army. What does it say? I'm going to Wichita. Oh my God, I forgot it. Somebody will put it in there. I don't remember what he says. I'm going to. I don't know why I started singing that one day, but I can't. Look at this. He loves Jollibee. There's 4 Jollibees in Chicago, but spaghetti and a hot dog, man. I don't know. That might be a. Yeah, I just happen to remember that. I do. I vaguely remember. I'm going to be 48 in April. Otis Worldwide, very stable. They have a lot of ups and downs in the business, though. Bum, bum, bum. And it's one that I've thought about. I've looked at it, and maybe it's on my watch list. Jollibee. Oh, look at all you Jollibee fans. Oh my God. I had no idea. It's like, right? Now you can, here you go. Now you guys can start your own trend. Whatever city, whatever major metropolitan region you live near, just add land onto the end of it. So, Cleveland land. Yeah, I don't know why. Why is it Chicagoland, but it's not New York City land? Or MLPA apparently is not a K1 atom, so that is interesting because they're both Global X. I have MLPX, which is the energy infrastructure, MLP and energy infrastructure ETF, but MLPA is just MLPs apparently. Yes, so it does look like it is standard dividends. I don't Trivon, I don't know CMI, getting caught up to all you guys. Let's see if there's anything interesting here. You had ANDX, then MLPX bought them up, had a few years, tired of the K1s, sold them all and just dumped into MLP. Oh yeah, see, I'm confused now. So because MPLX is Marathon Petroleums, they are an MLP, but MLPX and MLPA and AMLP are all, I believe, non-K1 ways you can get exposure to MLPs. If that's confusing, welcome to the club. Chicago's a better band name than Cleveland. Or you got Kansas, right? They had, I do like Carry On My Wayward Son. That's going to be in the newsletter soon. I've always loved that song ever since I heard it. Not so much anything else by them, but Microsoft is fine entrenched itself in cybersecurity. Shannon, that's a good point. And I don't have any direct exposure to cybersecurity, but one would think somebody should. What is that? So that would be Microsoft, or you could go direct into something like Palo Alto or Palantir. Those are probably two other ones. CrowdStrike, right? CrowdStrike had the big problem where they knocked out some of their customers, but it came roaring back, right? I think their CEO did a tour of the world, an apology tour with hat in hand. And Ty, that's a good one, man. Sometimes you just got to wait for some hair to be on some of these name brand companies. So if anybody, like, I'm waiting for Costco. I thought we had it. It was into the mid 800s. And I'm like, yes, it's trending toward where I want it. Jace, no problem, man. Hey, the benefit, you can watch in like 1.5x now. Yeah, you're probably right, Trash. I have read, and he's a human being. He's probably said both were, but I know he recently said that Berkshire was his biggest mistake. But I Google it. He has said, because I remember reading it, that Dexter Shoe was his biggest mistake. Yeah, no locations in Idaho. You are going to have to either wait or pull up on their website where the yeah, it's not in Idaho. It's nowhere near there. They're trying to expand. And that's been the knock on the company. Sometimes businesses can try to expand too fast, too quick. I think Dutch Bros kind of ran into that a little while ago, and it can really cripple the company if those locations don't do well because it takes a minute for them to be profitable. And if they're not profitable, well, now you're losing money. So we'll see if, and that's the worry with the market is Portillo's. And I think it's going to because Chicago, we've got everything here. We've got all the four seasons. We've got every kind of people you want to find. And if it can work here, I think that's why. It's why Chicago is usually a test market because of the same thing. We've got all four seasons and every different kind of person you can think of. So there you go. I love it. If you ever need to go there, get it. Yeah. Do you guys know Jardinera? I love Jardinera. I put it on almost everything. Broadcom and MasterCard offers cybersecurity services too. That's interesting, Tux. But they're not pure. I think Pure Play is really just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others. It's CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, and Palantir. MasterCard's been flat for the last year. I looked at more Visa this week, but I think it's in a downtrend. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen with. You want something fun? Watch MicroStrategy tomorrow. If Bitcoin is still, let's see, as of this recording, let me pull it up. The Bitcoin price right now is 77,586, and it is down 13% in the past 5 days. So everybody, if you're invested in MicroStrategy, pray to God that Michael Saylor knows what he's doing, because when you issue shares to buy more Bitcoin, and then I think they're also borrowing money to buy more Bitcoin, you got to hope Bitcoin works out, because if Bitcoin gets crushed, that could be the end of MicroStrategy. So, or Strategy, they're called now, not MicroStrategy. Ferrari is firmly on my radar. And the only worry, but I think there's always going to be wealthy people that want a Ferrari. And I know that they have swag. They have a driver they have cars in F1, right? Or am I thinking, yeah, Ferrari does. So we'll see, dude. It's still dropping though. Let me look. I know you guys won't be able to see this, but Ferrari is down 22.3% in the past year, and it has steadily been falling basically since October 2nd, when it was at 504. It dropped to 378, bumped up to 422 in November, and since November, it has just been in a strong downtrend. I know this is boring. You can't look at it, but 300 just on the super simple price line chart. The next support I'm seeing is pretty much around 300 a share. So it's on my radar. I'm watching it, but I would not be surprised to see Ferrari around 300. That's just the price. Again, it's, I'm not an astrology girly, but hey, look at this. Metals Bitcoin 77K. All right, we looked it up. That was, you know what that was? That was me reading your comment, thinking about what you were saying, thinking about what I wanted to say at the same time I'm reading John's comment. It was a whole bunch of gobbledygook and gibberish is what that was falling out of my head. But John says MasterCard stock fell due to significant investor concern. John, I'm going to go ahead and guess that you Googled this. Because it's reading like, MasterCard stock fell due to significant investor concern over proposal to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year, threatening earnings for payment networks. It sounds very summarized by AI, but yes, that is also a thing. And I don't think that's going to happen because, as a lot of the companies have said, if they had to cap, that's going to affect them loaning out making loans. People might not be able to get lines of credit. And I think people forget the whole reason that credit card interest rates are so high is because it's unsecured. Every time I hear that, people are like, it's highway robbery, 25% interest. I'm like, it's unsecured. What are they going to repossess if you don't pay them? The plastic credit card that's worth 7 cents? So it has to be that high because you're making an unsecured loan, which is risky. Making a high risk loan has to have a higher reward. So they have to be compensated for that risk they're taking on with a 22, 25% interest rate. And the way to not be affected by that is to do what I do. Pay it off every month. I don't even remember. It's been years since I've paid interest on my credit card because it's paid off in full by the due date every single month. So yeah, did I say Visa and MasterCard? If I did, then I think they're connected, right? They're connected. Yes. Visa and MasterCard are strict payment processors. They handle none of the money. They get a small amount from every transaction that they process. So I guess I'm thinking of the larger sphere of all of them, because if less people are using credit cards and less people are getting extended lines of credit, then yes, that would affect less people having credit and using credit, which would affect Visa and MasterCard because there would be less payments to process, right? So that's silver just went down, right, dude? Oh, I think a lot of people are learning that when something just shoots straight up, like you look at a silver chart, it's insane. But we'll see what happens. And well, Shannon, you know what? I just had a lot of silver too. I sold, I think I had about 40 or 50 ounces. I sold it at $18. So imagine my chagrin when I see about 2 years later, it's at 118. Yeah. Dresh, you're right on that. I agree. They could, but who knows? You know what? I don't think it'll come to pass. We'll see what happens, but I you know what? We don't know. Again, the future is unknown and unknowable, but what we do know about the future is that we do this thing for an hour. And I love you guys for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. I have a lot of fun. I look forward to doing this. Sometimes I look forward to doing it more than the edited videos, quite honestly. So, yeah, it's going to be fine. We'll be fine. I hope you come back next week. We'll do it again. I really appreciate all of you guys. So, hey, peace. I love you. Be good. Let's have some fun in this week, and everyone watch and see what happens with Bitcoin and strategy. See you next week.